Okay, so back for part 3 and hopefully the final part of this ball python breeding introduction. Not so much of an introduction. Sure, as I say, winging it, and let's just jump straight in. Okay, so what we were talking about there in the last video, if you've watched part 1 and part 2, it was up into breeding. Okay. How I introduce the males to the females, and I do that in June. Okay, if you're watching this video now, you'll be a bit lost. You have to go and watch part 1 and part 2 and then watch this one, otherwise it's probably going to make no sense to you. Okay, so after I followed all of those things in part 1 and all of those things in part 2, then I go into now the pairing and how I decide what males to pair with what females, and the length of time I'm going to pair them, how I'm going to pair them, and how I'm going to do it. Okay, so there's no ball pythons really in my collection where it's going to be one male to one female, and there's no ball pythons where, let me just straighten that up just a little bit. Okay, sorry, no editing on this. Pretty much the lowest is going to be 3 females to 1 male, and I think the maximum, if once I'm finished planning my pairings, is going to be 6 females to 1 male in particular, but probably only 5. I'm still deciding on that, but that's the maximum I'll go, is 6, but for me that's even pushing it a little bit. I kind of stick to a 4 or 5 to 1 ratio, 4 to 5 females to 1 male. Okay, how I pair, all right, and the reason why I do it this way, okay, is to follow. I pair on the weekend and I leave the male in with the female for 48 hours, but not quite 48 hours, 2 days, but I do it on a weekend. What I do is I put it in the male into the female's tub on a Friday night, and I take it out on a Monday morning. So they're nocturnal, okay, so they're awake at night. Okay, so they get 3 full nights and 2 full days: Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. Saturday day and Sunday day. Monday morning I will open up the tub. If they're still locked, I'll leave the male in there. Come and check again after I've finished work. If they're unlocked, I'll take the male out. If they're still locked, I'll leave them in there, and I'll leave them locked up until such time as I open up the tub and they are unlocked. Okay. The reason why I do it over the weekend is because I'm not working. This is not a full-time job for me. This is not how I make my living. I have a company to run, and I'm at work Monday to Saturday. Fortunately, I'm the boss, so I own the company, so I don't actually go into work on the Saturdays, but I run everything from my phone, and if I need to go in, I'll go in and check on the staff. But Monday to Friday, I'm at work dealing with staff, clients, etc., etc., so I can't be at home in the snake room opening tubs to check to see if I've had a lock. So that is why I pair up on a weekend. So during the course of the weekend, when I've got a male inside a tub with a female, I will check maybe 3 or 4 times during the day. I don't want to disturb the animals too much, because let's say they're just about to lock. Let's say the male is courting the female, and he's nice and he's rubbing up against her and she's wagging her tail and she's ready for him, and I come along and I open the tub to have a look, and they shit themselves, and like I've ruined the mood now, and they like spread apart from each other. Okay, so I don't like to disturb too much. So what I do is I'll put a male in and I'll leave it overnight. I won't. I'll put him in at, let's say, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and I usually go to bed around about 10 o'clock. And what I'll do is I'll have 1 check at 10 o'clock. So I'll just kind of like open up very, very, you must understand that the room will never be this bright. I've got a torch that's got different settings, and I'll set it on the lowest setting, and I'll kind of look in. If I can't see, if they're at the back of the tub, I'll look to see if there's a lock. If there's a lock, great. If there isn't, I've got some males that'll lock up within an hour. They will literally lock to a hose pipe. Okay, I've got some that take days. All right, and then I'll close it up and I'll leave it. And what I'll do is I'll come in on Saturday morning. I will check again to see if there's a lockup. There may have been a lockup during the night and then they've unlocked. I won't know. I'll be sleeping. Okay, I do not come through. I know some breeders come through and check. I get up anywhere sometimes between 1 and 3 a.m. to go and have a drink of water, go to the toilet. It's just my routine. You know, wake up, go through to the kitchen, chug down some water, go take a piss, and I go jump back into bed and go to sleep. Last season, I would come through and I would open up the tub to have a look and see if there's a lockup. Okay. And then, just to be honest with it, just stuffs up my sleep routine, and I go back to bed and I lie there. And if I've locked up, I'm all excited. If they're not locked up, I'm like, why the fuck haven't they locked up? Okay, so I don't even check at night. But this next season, I'll come in and I'll slowly open on the Saturday morning. I'll check to see if there's a lockup. If there isn't, I'll gently close the tub again. I'll leave them alone. I'll check again at about midday and see if there's a lockup. Anywhere between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock, and then I'll check again in the early evening, late afternoon, in the early evening or late at night before I go to bed. I'll check. So maybe three times forward a push, I'll open the tubs to check for lockups. If I don't see any lockups, I don't see any lockups. If I do see a lockup, my phone's busy recording. I'm out of my phone. I open up onto my section for my husbandry, my ball pythons, my breeding section, my notes section. And I've got all my pairings down there. I've got all the sires, all the dames, and I put there, that sire locked this date, and I'll write not necessarily the time, but I'll say in the morning or in the afternoon. Okay, so if I open it up in the morning and I haven't seen a lock, and then I go back in that afternoon and I open up and I haven't I see a lock, I'll write there so-and-so locked so-and-so Saturday afternoon. If they haven't locked up and I open up and I see it's at night, I'll write there so-and-so sire dame locked Saturday night. If they haven't locked, I'll check again on Sunday lunchtime, Sunday. And if they are locked, I'll carry on to see until they're unlocked. If they unlock during the course of the weekend, I still don't take the male out. I will leave the male in there until Monday morning, because they might lock up again. They also may not have locked up during the day, and when I'm busy opening the tub and looking, they may have been unlocked. But however, that 11 or 12 hours that is taken, that where I've been not checking the tub from when I went to bed until 10 hours or whatever, that I come and check again, they may have locked up and unlocked during that time. You'll never know. I'll never know. Okay, but there's a very good possibility. I take the male out on Monday morning if they are separated, and let's say they've locked and they've unlocked and it's now Monday morning. I take the male out of the female's tub and I'll put him back into his tub in his rack, and I will leave him there until Friday. Okay, I give him 4 days off. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or 5 days off. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. On Friday night, I will put him in with the other female I have. So let's just say, for argument's sake, there's 4 weeks in a month, so let's work on 4 females. Weekend one, I'll pair him to this female from Friday night until Monday morning. I will then put him back in his tub. The following Friday, I will put him with that female and take him out on Monday morning. Put him back in his tub. The next Friday, I will take him out to put him with this female until Monday morning. And then on the 4th week, the 4th Friday, I'll pair him up with female number 4. And that will have given each of these females 1 lock each that month with that male. That male would have locked up once a week, 4 times that month with those 4 females. Once he's gone through all 4 females and he hits female number 4, week number 5, he goes back to female number 1. And I repeat that process until those females ovulate. Okay, that is it. That is how I will introduce the males. Once a week from Friday night until Monday morning. What I do on a Wednesday night, I will offer the male a small meal. Okay, smaller than what he would normally take, because generally they go off food. I will do it on a Wednesday because I've given him 2 nights to settle into his enclosure, and he's now, apart from the female, he's just been in there for 3 nights and 2 days. He's back in his enclosure now. He's had 2 days to settle in, so I want him to have relaxed a little bit. I'll offer him a rat. If he takes it, great, because I want to keep their strength up. I want to keep them going. He's going to be pairing for 5-6 months, so because I'll be pairing from June right up until December, or until I see an ovulation. So if the female goes early, that female comes out of rotation. She stays in a tub, but no more male. I won't introduce a male to her anymore. Then he's got 3 females to pair up to. And then maybe, you know, as soon as they ovulate, that's it. That male stops going to those females, and so on and so forth. And when all of the females have ovulated, that male's off duty now. He's back in his tub and whatever. But every Wednesday, in the middle of the week, I will offer him a meal, a small meal, a rat, something. Hopefully he'll take it. And I do it on a Wednesday so that it's halfway right through in the week, and I've given him until Friday to digest that meal. It normally takes 2 to 3 days for them to digest their food. So I won't offer it to him on a Thursday night or whatever, because the next day I'm going to chuck him into a tub with a female. I don't want him to be sitting there all uncomfortable, because once a snake is eaten, all he wants to do, she wants to do, is go lie on her hotspot and digest that rat. Okay, so that is why I'll offer him the rat on a Wednesday. So, but if he does eat it, by the time Friday comes around, he's had a full 48 hours to get that rat is well on the way to being digested. Okay, he's ready to rock and roll, and I'll take him and I'll put him in his tub. You all know that when you feed your snake, you don't handle it for 48 hours. Okay, 24 to 48 hours, but 48 hours is better. So after 48 hours, and I'll take him and I'll put him back in. Let's say you're pairing up to 5 females. The same rotation applies. It's just, it means that every 5 weeks he goes with a female. If he's going with 6 females, he pairs up with a female. One of those, that female gets paired with him every 6 weeks. He's pairing up every week, but those females, the more females that you're pairing that male to, the less time in the breeding season they lock. Okay, but you only really need 3 or 4 good, you only need 1 lock to make it work. It might be that lucky lock, but obviously the more locks the better. Okay, but 3 or 4 good locks, that's why, you know, 1 a month, 1 good lock a month. If you can see a good, and you're pairing for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and you see out of all the times you put the male in there, if you've seen in that 5 months, that 4 months or 5 months, 3 or 4 good visual locks, you're pretty good. You're doing okay. All right. You can open up the tub. I've got some snakes that are males that are ridiculous. I open up and the female doesn't have a chance. You open up and boy is on top of her. He is like crawling on top of her. He's wrapping around her. It doesn't matter what she does. Literally, she doesn't have a chance. That boy is horny as you know what, and he's ready to rock and roll. I've got a couple of boys in my collection that it does not matter how difficult that female is, that male will lock up to that female. Okay, so, and I'm talking literally within half an hour. So I can open up the tub and I look at him like, there's my boy, he's locked up already. And there's one particular male every single, you know, last year, clutch of eggs, the guy that owned him before me, every single year clutch that male, whatever he paired it up to, healthy sperm, specimen of a snake, great snake. Okay, so that is how I do my rotation. Okay, I know some guys do 4 days in, 4 days out, then another female, 4 days in, 4 days out. Okay, cool. As I've said in my other videos, you do you, bro. That's your way. If that's what works for you, carry on doing it. If you are a ball python breeder and you're just watching this out of interest's sake and you've already got your own system, and your only way of doing things, and it works for you, and you've got successful clutches, and you've had successful seasons, and you have got a great success rate with your hatchlings, don't change it. Don't reinvent the wheel. Carry on doing what works for you, okay? As I've said, I'm making this video for guys that have asked me questions and have reached out to me here in South Africa, how I do things and how I'm going to do things in the coming season. Okay, so I said there were a couple of changes that I'm going to make. That last season I didn't do, that this season I'm going to do. One of those changes is the difference in the temperature drop. Last year, I did not drop my temperatures down to 25 degrees, 26 degrees Celsius on the hotspot. I only dropped them down to 28, 29, okay, which I don't feel was cold enough, okay, and I put them back up to 32.5 degrees during the day. So sometimes the temperatures went to 32.5, 33, and this year I'm going to make sure that they do not go above 31.5 degrees during the day. And at night, I'm going to drop them right down to 25 degrees, 26 degrees Celsius instead of 28, 29 degrees Celsius, which is what I did last year. So that's one of the changes that I made, that I'm making this year. It's going to be the first time I'm doing it. However, I've got a friend that's been doing this for 20 years, and that is what he does every single year, like clockwork. And it works for him, and he lives down the road from me. Same climate, same temperature, same setup, okay? And he is very successful. That's what he told me to do. He was like, dude, you know, all ball python breeders are pretty respectful of each other, and they don't like to, hey, you must do it this way and this is the only way. At least most of the guys that I've come across in the industry, there are some guys that are saying this is the only way to do it and this is the way you do it. But generally a lot of the oaks are like, hey, but this is the way that I do it, and you know, you can try it, but this is what works for me. And the reason why is because we're dealing with livestock here. So nobody wants to take the blame if the shit goes down and an animal dies and you do something and then you say, oh, but you told me to do it that way. Or all the eggs die, or they're all slugs, or all, you know, when you cut the eggs don't hatch, and then you cut them and all the babies are dead inside, and then you find out back and say, but you told me to pair it this way, and you told me to run the temperatures at that temperature. Nobody wants that on their head, okay? So that's why I'm saying to you guys, this is just a guideline, disclaimer, okay? You do you, okay? I'm telling you what I'm going to do this season. Don't comment on my YouTube video in 6 months' time and say, hey, Cole, I followed everything that you said and I had a shit season and this died and that didn't hatch and I had slugs. I'm not telling you that this is hard and fast and the only way to breed your ball pythons. I'm not telling you that, okay? I'm telling you this is what I've been taught. This is what you can go, and I'm going to reference guys like Justin Kabolka, Brian Barczyk, Kevin McCurdy from Nerd. Obviously Justin Kabolka from Canova. It's not Justin Kabolka anymore. His YouTube channel is called Canova. Brian Barczyk, he's just called Brian Barczyk. That oak's got 3.5 million followers. You can watch his YouTube video on breeding ball pythons and see his temperature drops. Justin Kabolka, watch him, he'll talk you through his breeding program and how he adjusts his temperatures and what he does. Okay, so I'm not just making this stuff up. I'm telling you how I've been taught. And not only that, also the guys that are breeding snakes here in South Africa that are very, very successful that I've gotten to know are doing this pretty much the same thing. Okay, now we get to the, let's say your snake has ovulated. Please understand that sometimes your female, she's building, she's getting follicles, she's growing, and like some snakes with me last year reabsorbed their follicles and they didn't ovulate and they didn't give me any babies. That pisses you off, but it happens, okay? Some ovulates and then you got eggs, okay? You're not finished, okay? Once those eggs have laid, now you've got to put them in the incubator, okay? Now, the big debate, do you let the snake incubate and do self-incubation, or do you take the eggs out of the tub and put them in an incubator? Do you separate the eggs? Do you put the eggs on vermiculite or perlite, or on a grate that's over water? What is the ratio of vermiculite to water or perlite? Or do you mix the perlite with the vermiculite? Okay, lots of ways to do it. Okay, do you press and seal and make the egg box completely airtight? Or do you leave and make little holes in it? All of these things, okay? I promise you, it was a total mindfuck for me last year because it was my first season and I didn't know what to do. I had one breeder, do it this way. This is the way this side does it. Press and seal, no holes, 1-to-1 ratio, vermiculite, like 200 grams of vermiculite. Okay, whether you do 150 grams, 200 grams, 250 grams, 300 grams, whatever, however big your egg box is, okay? 1-to-1 ratio of vermiculite, and then in weight, 1-to-1 ratio of water. So let's say if you take your scale over here, okay, boom, and you put your thing of vermiculite, your jug, okay, of vermiculite, boom, and you weigh it, and there's 200 grams of vermiculite in that jug, and you take it off and you put the vermiculite into the egg box, and then you put the knot back on, make sure the scale is zeroed, you put 200 grams of water, not 2 liters of water, okay, 1-to-1 in weight, 1-to-1 ratio in weight. So 200, I'm just using 200 as an example, 200 milligrams, 200 grams of vermiculite to 200 grams of water, okay, that is your 1-to-1 ratio. And then you put the eggs on top of the vermiculite. Now, and here's the thing. Do you put the eggs on top of the vermiculite and press and seal and then leave it, or do you put a grate over it, like a light diffuser, so that the eggs don't touch the vermiculite? Do you use perlite? Okay, I use vermiculite. Last year, I did 2 different ways. One way, I put it directly onto the vermiculite, 1-to-1 ratio. I separated the eggs, I candled them. Underneath, I made sure that I could see the veins, and then I saw the embryo on the top, and then I placed the egg down with the embryo up, and I put a marker on top where the embryo is so that it was facing up. And I separated all the eggs, and I placed them all evenly so that they weren't touching each other, and I put press and seal over that over the tub, and then I closed it with the lid, and it was 100% airtight on top of the vermiculite in the incubator. Okay, all those eggs hatched perfectly. Okay, however, that's not how I'm going to do it this year. Another clutch of eggs. Okay, but out of all those eggs, one baby died coming out of the egg. I cut. Oh, to cut or not to cut? It's 55 to 60 days before you should start seeing eggs pip. Okay. At 60 days, if you haven't seen a pip, you start getting a bit nervous. Okay, temperature. Sure, I'm jumping around here, guys, but I'm winging it. Okay. And I keep on looking behind me because that's where my incubator used to be. It's not there anymore. My incubator was set so that the temperature inside the egg tub was between 31.5 and 32 degrees Celsius. Inside the egg tub, where the egg is sealed inside. So whatever that is on your incubator, you will have to play around with the thermostat, okay? So you must set up your incubator at least 2 weeks before you start popping eggs. When you see your female ovulate, your very first female, make sure that your incubator, pointing behind me again, and there's not even an incubator, make sure your incubator is up and running with an egg box inside, the way you want it set up, with a thermostat, a probe inside, making sure that the temperature inside there is between 31.5 and 32 degrees Celsius, no more, no less. It can be less, it can be 30 degrees, it can be 31 degrees, 30.5 degrees. The lower the temperature, I mean, down 27 and below is not good, okay? You need it like 29, 30, 31, 30, up to 32. but if you like on the 30, 28, 29 degrees Celsius, it's going to take longer than 60 days for your eggs to hatch out. If you're on the 31.5, 32 degrees Celsius, you're pretty much looking at 57, 58, 59, 60 days, okay? The rule of thumb, some people like to cut at day 55, cut a slit open. Some people like to see the first egg pip and then they'll cut the rest of the eggs. Some guys are just like, or they must all pip on their own. Some guys will take the entire clutch as it is and put it on the vermiculite and leave it. They won't separate the eggs, they won't do anything, okay? You do you. I'm separating the eggs, because if one egg goes bad, it's going to infect the rest of the eggs. If it goes moldy, that mold spreads and it can affect your entire clutch. Me, personally, I separate the eggs, I candle them, and I'll put them in the egg box. The one box that I did, I put holes on each side, I put them in the vermiculite, I didn't put press and seal, and the box wasn't airtight. That was the clutch that I lost, okay. But it had nothing to do with the way I set it up, okay. What I'm doing this year, and what I'm doing differently, okay, is I am going to put in my egg box, and here's one of my egg boxes here, okay. It's got water in it at the moment because down there I've got a heating pad, and I use this egg box when it's not season. I've got, I don't know how many egg boxes, but I soak my snakes. If I've got stuck shed or anything like that, when I'm doing my snake checks, I put a snake inside and I soak it with water if it's either constipated or it's got a stuck shed. So anyway, that's what my egg box looks like, okay? So I'll take that. So what I'm doing this year is I'm doing a 2-to-1 ratio of, okay, so 200 milligrams of vermiculite, 400 milligrams of water. That's double what I used last year, okay? I'm then going to put a light diffuser or an egg hatch tray over the vermiculite, and then I'm placing the eggs on the egg tray so that they do not touch the vermiculite. I am not going to put press and seal on the egg box. I will have a hole on each side, tiny little hole, 2 millimeters maybe, if that, just so that there is some air, and I will put the lid on. But I will not run out of humidity because of those holes. The humidity level will remain high because I have doubled the amount of water that is inside there. But I am going to be separating the eggs, candling them, and then I will be putting the eggs on an egg tray. And either a proper, like a dragon hatch tray where it's nice, it's got those special grooves in it so the egg doesn't roll around. You don't want the egg to roll around, okay? Or you can do your own makeshift one, which is a light diffuser. You cut it, you put the egg down, and you can put like clothes pegs on each side of the egg so that it doesn't roll. Do not use wooden clothes pegs because they will absorb the moisture, which then touches the egg and can make the egg moldy. Use plastic. Use a plastic straw, plastic anything plastic, a drinks mixer, cut it in half, put them down, put a whole bunch in, and keep the, but don't use wooden clothes pegs. Plastic clothes pegs will be fine, okay? That's what I'm gonna do this year, okay? And I'm gonna put the 2-to-1 ratio, 200 milligrams of water, 200 milligrams of vermiculite to 400 milligrams of water. So the humidity is like, you know, it's twice the amount of what I had. Because the humidity in the egg box needs to be at 100% while those eggs are incubating. Then I will put them in the incubator, which is not behind me, and I will leave them until I see the first pip. Okay. At 31.5 to 32 degrees Celsius. Now I'm in two minds whether to cut or not, because sometimes you can save a baby's life by cutting. There may be an umbilical cord wrapped around it. You don't know. By cutting the egg, you can see that kind of stuff. Okay. Some people believe let nature take its course. If I haven't got a pip on day 60, I will cut. Okay. How much time? I will cut the egg on day 60, okay, you'll see that it's fully formed. The egg's going to go bad, it's going to go bad in 2 weeks. If it's going to go moldy and it's unfertilized, you're going to know it within 2 weeks. You know you're going to have to throw that egg away. But if it goes full term and the egg is now starting to dimple and it's still white and so on and so forth, whatever, you know that you've got a good egg. But if you haven't had a pip, the longest that I'm going to leave it is 60 days. And then I'm going to cut and open. I'm not going to take the baby out. I'm just going to make a hole. It's got an egg tooth. The hatchling's got an egg tooth. Maybe that egg tooth is broken. Maybe it can't get out and it's going to suffocate, okay? So I'm going to assist by cutting a slip like a thin eyelid across the egg so that the snake can get its little nose up and start breathing air and come out of the shell on its own, okay? I'm in two minds about this. I may change my mind between now and when that happens. So, I don't know. But that's pretty much what I'm planning to do. Okay. And then let the chips fall where they may. See what happens with this breeding season. I'm going to do a part 4 to this video, but that's going to be about pairing and recessives, incomplete dominant genes and co-dominant genes. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to do that another day. That's going to be like a ball python breeding project, so that if you're trying to hit a certain gene, or if you want to go for pied mixed with something else, like you want orange dream, yellow belly pied, or you want desert ghost, leopard, harpo, or whatever, what to pair. How if you've got 100% het, you want to pair it to a visual of the same visual, and you've got 100% heterozygous for that gene, you want to pair those up. I'll do another video on that. Okay, so this was just about your setup and your ball python breeding, and I think I've pretty much covered it all in that. Yeah, and then you obviously, after the snakes have pipped, the little hatchlings that come out, once they're all out of the eggs, all of them, okay, you leave them all in the same thing. Take out once they're all out of the eggs, take the shell out, take the tray out. If you've got a hatchling, leave them on the vermiculite, okay, just for until they're all out. And once they're all out, then take this is like a hatchling tub for me. This is the way the hatchlings go. Okay, this is paper towel. It's dry now. What I do is I moisten that towel completely. This paper towel, it's damp, wet. I'll take all the babies out. I'll put them in this tub, put all of them together, okay, into the hatchling rack, which is over here, which you can't see, okay, and leave them all in there until they've had their first shed, which is roughly 7 days, okay. Keep it moist, keep it damp until they have had their first shed, okay. Once they've had their first shed, I will then sex them and separate them into their own tubs. Okay, so if I've missed anything and there's any questions, drop it in the comments section below. If I need to make a part 4, it'll be in a few days time after I've read the comments. If I think of something that I've forgotten, I'll make another video. But I think you guys have seen my ugly face for enough now. Three videos, 20 minutes and half an hour and over half an hour at a time. It turned out to a lot longer than I expected it to be. I wanted to try and make it simplified, but basically I realized that there's actually no shortcuts. I'm not going to give you half the story and try and rush through it, because you're bound to, it'll screw up somewhere. So I've pretty much been as thorough as I can so that you don't make a mistake. And please guys, remember that this is livestock. Shit happens, babies die. You can do everything 100% and you might still have some fatalities. You might have some snakes that are deformed, shark jaw, duck bill, kinks, abnormalities, whatever. Okay, it happens. Okay, it doesn't mean it's your fault. So it sometimes can be your fault. You've done something wrong. You've had the temperatures too high or too low. Okay, so that's the whole point of these videos. These were guidelines to work with. Okay, I hope this has helped you. I hope that if you are going into your first season, Please don't just watch my video. Go and look at Brian Barczyk, go and look at Canova, Chris Hardwick, Rob Barraclough, Royal Balls, Joe Tully, Tully's out, Royal Regis Royals. Balls to You is another good UK breeder. I'm just trying to rattle off a few guys that I've... Olympus Reptiles, Matt. That's a channel I watch all the time. Oh man, that dude, I love him. He's real, man. I think him and I kind of do our YouTube videos the same way. He doesn't give a shit. He just says it like it is, and he tries not to edit. Someone else films him, but his is a lot more professional than mine, but he's been doing it for years. Okay, so go and give those videos, those YouTube channels a watch. I'll try and, when I'm editing this now, I'll try and link it, so you may have seen the links coming up already. I've downloaded some app on this phone now that can do all that kind of stuff. I'm probably going to spend the next couple of hours trying to edit this video, but I'm waffling on now. Go and give those guys a follow. Kevin McCurley from Nerd, New England Reptile Distributors. Justin Kabalka from Canova. I don't know what the guy's name is, but it's Balls to You, the number 2, and then the letter U, Balls to You. Rob Barraclough, which is Royal Balls. Chris Hardwick is another good guy to watch in America. Always Evolving. I think it's Always Evolving Pythons or Always Evolving Ball Pythons. He's another good guy to watch. And Olympus Reptiles. And yeah, guys, that's it. That's over and out from me for now. As I say, I hope this video has helped you. To those of you that have reached out personally with specific questions, I'll try and answer those in the next couple of days. Okay, but yeah, over and out from me. I hope you all had a good weekend, and I hope you have a great week ahead. Cheers.